to Mr. Smooth's class on Adult Class, the most educative adult show in the whole of this country, and I can even add Africa to it. It is the only show that gets to teach you the things that you think you know but do not know, especially when it comes to our sexual life, sexual health, and sexual pleasure. I tell you, this show, I can still say, put my hat on it and say that it is the most educative adult show in this country. Great. Last week we looked at some of the things that Auntie Seto just spoke about. We looked at the scalp of a woman, how sensitive it is, and then we also showed you how you can stimulate the scalp. And like Auntie Seto said, you put your fingers in there and rub them down into the scalp, and the women will attest to it that even when they are doing their hair and their hair is starched, they feel really some sensation, because the scalp is also connected to a number of nerve endings. We then looked at the hair of a woman, and you can tell that the hair of a woman is also very sensitive. And then we look at the brain, and then we said that the brain is the most, or the biggest sex organ, and once you can stimulate the brain through talking, through looking, through touching, you have some part of the brain activated that brings in what Auntie Seto talks about, oxytocin and serotonin, which is the love hormones, the hormones that makes you feel humble, that makes you feel peaceful, the hormones that make you bond, and then also increase your dopamine levels, so you always want to be with a person. So it's important that the brain is also stimulated. So touching a woman is not necessarily using the fingers. You can use your voice, you can use your looks and the touch as well to make the woman feel loved. We also look at the ear, just as Auntie Seto said, there are so many ways of stimulating the ear. We did that last week, and those of you who want to have another look at it, just get to our Facebook page. Adult Class is on Facebook. I'm sure you see it there. We looked at the nose, and then we said the tip of the nose is also very sensitive, and then in your love making act you can engage in some Eskimo kisses or some little taps on the nose, or some, little caressing, massaging of the nose also brings a lot of pleasure to both partners, especially the woman. We also looked at the lips, we looked at the back of the neck and the side of the neck, we looked at the breast and all areas about it too. And then we even said that there was no need to actually squeeze the breast, but just play around the dark area, relay, or the nipple, and all you do is get a rhythm in whatever that you are doing around the nipple or around the breast. It is the rhythm that gets the trail done. Once you get a rhythm and the woman gets fall into the rhythm that you are moving, everything falls fine. Now for today, we're going to continue from where we left off last week. So we are still talking about the hot spots that you can find on women. And it will amaze you that one of the hot spots is the woman's armpit. Akko will show you that. You see, the woman's armpit is connected to a number of nerves, and those nerve endings add up to the pleasure. So all you need to do is put around your fingertips, play with your fingertips around the armpit, and then slightly touching, moving up and down, and then also paying close attention to how the woman responds to the touch. Some people will do it in a way that will feel ticklish, and then the woman will start giggling, laughing, and not feeling too comfortable because it's a little too sensitive. But if you do it well, the woman will fall into the rhythm that you're going through and also enjoy that sexual thrill. So it's important that you take note of this, that the woman's armpit is also very sensitive. This is the more reason why women should take good care of the armpit, if possible. Or let me say, would it be okay if you shaved the hair there, especially when you want your armpit to be touched? Would it be okay if you ensure that you use a good deodorant, antiperspirant, so you don't have any scent, so your husband can feel comfortable to take the mouth, nose, hand, whatever around your armpit? This is something that I'm curious, very, very curious. I'm sure you'll do it, so that you would not have your husband feel disgusted trying to stimulate your armpit. All right, the other side we'll look at is the arms of a woman. Auntie Seto made mention of it. It is also very sensitive, so gentle stroking, gentle touching of the armpit can also bring a lot of sensation. You can also suck around the arm, around the elbow area, down to the fingertips. And fortunately, the fingertips is the next one that I'll be talking about. It's also a very sensual act. It's a sign of love, where you hold your fingers, where you play with your fingers, where you get to caress, hold, and make the finger feel touched, and it's actually sensitive. And then you know how it feels like when you get burnt with the fingernails at the fingertips. You know how it hurts. This also should tell you that the fingertips are very sensual, and once you stimulate them well, you're going to have some good feeling. Now the wrist, fortunately, is also very, very sensitive, and for some women it brings some surprise twist to the feelings that they get when you touch them around the wrist. So gently stroking around the wrist, holding your partner's wrist, and facing and touching can also bring a lot of thrill while you stimulate your partner's wrist. So this is also important, and then while you are doing this, it's important that you pay particular attention to your partner's eye. Look at it and see how your partner responds to what you are doing. I would also want to say that the lower back is also extremely sensitive, so don't forget that area. Don't only concentrate on the front and the very, very hot spots. Normally you come with these spots before you move or zone into the highly erotic spots. So it's important that you pay close attention to some of these areas too. So the lower back around the spine area is also very sensitive. Auntie Seto mentioned the belly button. Yes, the belly button is also very, very sensitive. Around the abdominal area, around the abdomen, the whole area is extremely sensitive, and then you have to just take time, play around that area. Don't rush. It is not a World Cup, it's a friendly game, so there's no need to rush to finish. Take your time, play around, and then just have fun with the lady you are with. So in whatever angle, whatever situations, whether you are kneeling, whether you are lying on the side, don't forget the belly button. One other area that is also extremely sensitive that most people ignore is the thigh, especially the inner thigh. The inner thigh is also made up of a lot of nerve endings, and then while you play around with it, gently stroking the inner thigh can be very, very sensual. And it's important that guys get to learn this area too, and get to learn how it's done well. So if you see the little GIF I'm showing there, you can see gentle stroking, no rush, no need to finish fast. Just take time and make the woman feel loved, make the woman feel wanted. When I'm trying not to cough. All right, and then you can lick, you can bite a little, gentle scratching with your teeth around the thigh. All these things add up to the pleasure, and it also helps the woman get wet quick. So if you want to penetrate, you can do so. So just touch those areas that would make the woman feel aroused the more. And remember, if you're a student of the adults class, I told you it takes at least 10 to 15 minutes of foreplay for the woman to get into the orgasm zone. So if you really want to move the woman into the orgasm zone, you need to zone into some of these areas that I'm talking about with you. And once you get to understand them well, you are able to do them well, and the woman gets to love you even more. And I tell you, there's one other area that most men leave: the ankle, the feet, under the feet, around the ankle area. All that area is extremely sensitive. They are also packed with nerve endings, and even under the feet we have all the reflex points there. So massaging, playing around the leg and under the feet can bring some healing to the woman as well. And I tell you, it's very pleasurable, especially when you're sucking the toes. I know a lady who loves her toe to be sucked, and one time she said it openly for everyone to hear. You know that. I'm not mentioning her name anyway. So the toes are also very sensitive, and once you learn, you clean the feet well, you take a good shower, and your husband is sucking your toe, you feel heaven on earth. I assure you, you're going to feel heaven on earth. So take your time, do these things, practice, clean your feet well. So when a man is getting into such very wonderful foreplay methods with you, he doesn't feel any disgust. Now, you can also look at under the feet, like I said, the sole of the feet, the heel are also a bunch of nerve endings. And I tell you, it's amazing if you can take your time to zone in around these areas before you target the genital, the female genital itself. Now, mentioning the female genital, let's look at simple anatomy of the female genital. Great. Now you're looking at the female genitalia. We have the inner thigh. I'm sure we all know the inner thigh. You have the pubic hair. That area is also sensitive. We have the clitoris and the clitoral hood. The clitoris is covered by the clitoral hood. I try not to be too what do you call it, hot, very graphic on this one. All right, so, and then right under the clitoris you can find the urethra meatus. The urethra meatus is where the urine passes, and if you don't know, that is it. And then right under the urethra meatus you have the Skene's gland. The Skene's gland is equivalent of the male, is a female equivalent of the male prostate. So the women also have something that is somewhat like the prostate, but we don't call it a prostate, but we call it the Skene's gland. And then we have the labia majora, labia minora, which is just like the we can even say the lips of the vagina. And then you remember, if you were a student of the adult class, we said that the labia majora looks just like the lips of the woman. So if it is thick, if the woman's lips are thick, then the labia majora will also be thick. If they are protruding, the labia majora will also be protruding. If they are small, thin, and nice, the labia would also be small, thin, and nice. The same thing, the size, that is the width, is the same between the clitoris and the perineum. So you can tell from the 8-week course we did on identifying sexual organ, size, shape, and sex drive from the face. If you were part of that class, you would have known that what I'm talking about here is true. And then also you have the vaginal opening, and then there's one very important thing that you don't have to miss, the Bartholin gland or the Bartholin ducts. Those are the ducts that you find on the bottom left and right side of the vagina, that is responsible for secreting certain liquids that protect the vagina. And then you have the ducts on both sides, so you have it left and right. And then you have the perineum, and then you have the anus. So these are the external genitalia. We will look at the internal genitalia, and then look at the G spot, look at the R spot, the O spot, P spot. We will look at the posterior fornix, the anterior fornix, and all those things that come with this area, and how you stimulate them as we go on. But for now, let's look at the pubic hair. And the pubic bone area is also extremely sensitive. I think I zoomed into it, but let me just give you a teaser. We'll be getting into a little more deeper as we go on with this class. There are doctors who say that this area around the pubic bone is also very, very sensitive. And as you play around the hair, you get to stimulate the woman, you get to turn the woman on. You get the woman ready for lovemaking, get the woman into her arousal and orgasm zone so she can get orgasms, and you also feel happy because you've been able to pleasure your woman. Now let's look at the almighty clitoral hood. Alright, so the clitoral hood is the cover of the clitoris. The clitoral hood is just like the foreskin of the male penis. And I showed you last week that the male penis and the female vagina come from the same source. It is just hormonal changes that gives us a prostate gland and a testicle, and then they get an ovary, uterus, and the breast. So virtually, we come from the same thing. It is just hormones that bring the difference. Now, the clitoral hood is like the foreskin of the male sex organ. It covers the clitoris because the clitoris is very sensitive. 8,000 nerve endings. So if the clitoral hood is not there, the woman will be wearing the pants and feeling orgasm and sensitizing herself and dancing all over, jumping all over the place because it's too sweet wearing the pants. So the clitoral hood is supposed to cover the clitoris and reduce the sensitivity around the clitoris. So it has a very important role. So if you want to access the clitoris, all you need to do is push the clitoral hood off the clitoris, and you're going to see the gland of the clitoris. The clitoris looks just like the penis, as you are going to find out today. So we are looking at the clitoris itself. Now, the clitoris, like I said, is supposed to be between, it has 8,000 nerve endings, and then it ranges from about 0.15 inches to 0.26 inches. But in some cases, because of some hormonal imbalances, we can have different types of clitoris. And I would want you to look at some of these things I'm going to show you. Some of the pictures I'm going to show you tonight are a little graphic, so viewers are warned that some of the pictures I'll be showing you about the clitoris are a little graphic, and this is an adult class, and you need to know so that when you see it, it doesn't wow you. You don't run away when you see some of these things. But the clitoris is very sensitive, like I said, and this is how it looks like from the outside. This is how it looks like. The clitoris is a big organ. It is not small. It's a big organ. It is not small. It lines all the way around or inside the labia minora or majora. It's inside it. So it has legs. The clitoris has head and it has legs. So those of you who think that when you cut off the clitoris, the woman won't feel anything, you are lying. Because the head is what you have removed. The feet and the entire body of the clitoris is still there inside the vaginal wall. That you can't remove. So it is a waste of time, waste of energy when you cut off. The woman will feel traumatized because a part of her has been taken off, and her mind will not allow herself to feel the sensation around the clitoris or even the remaining part, because the remaining part will still be sensitive because the 8,000 nerve endings will still be there. Now, like I said, you can have a regular size clitoris, you can have a small size clitoris, you can have a medium size clitoris, you can have large size clitoris, you can have an extra large size clitoris. But I'm showing you this so that you get to understand that the male penis and the clitoris are virtually the same. They are made up of the same thing. So you can see the head of the penis, the gland penis, and then you can see the smaller size of it as the clitoris. You can see the leg, the cora of the penis, and you can see the same thing, the cora of the clitoris. They are virtually the same, only that the man's is a little bigger. They are just the same organs, and they look the same, just that because of the male testosterone levels, that one becomes bigger. So it is normal to have some women who have bigger clitoris. So when you see it, don't run away, unless of course it's a hermaphrodite that you're afraid of. But even that, they're still human, and it is not their fault. They didn't ask that they are born that way, so you need to understand that. So I want you to see that both the male penis and that of the clitoris are the same. They are all the same 8,000 nerve endings, but because males have a lot more testosterone, that dampens the sensitivity at the tip of the penis, so it becomes at least 4,000. But men who feed themselves with a lot of female foods, or men who have a lot of estrogen in their body, then start experiencing premature ejaculations, because then the nerve endings around the tip of the penis becomes more. And like I told you last week, if you have premature ejaculations, you want to deal with it, pick my contact. We can find a way of boosting your testosterone levels and also remove the sensitivity at the tip of the penis, and you become free of this. My number will be put out there. You can call me. We can we can have a way of dealing with that one. And then if you're a woman and with all the 8,000 nerve endings, you still do not feel anything, it's a big problem. It's a big problem you have, because then you have an atrophy and then you need to work on it. Especially when you are young, you need to really work on it. My number is 0244 66 10 11. It's on the screen. You can call me after the show and then we can book an appointment, meet, and or find a way to help you deal with this one. So like I said, what I'm going to show you here is a little graphic. So I'm saying that it is for only adults, and strictly for adults. It's not suitable for anybody under 18. And I would want you to look at this. I tried very hard not to make it too graphic. So this is what we call the invincible clitoris. Some clitoris are so small you can't see it. Some women even find it difficult to even locate their own clitoris because their clitoris are way too small. Even when you move the clitoral hood, you see virtually nothing. But it doesn't mean that it is not sensitive. It is still there, only that it is small. So when you see this, it shouldn't wow you, it shouldn't surprise you. It is just that they have an invincible clitoris. You don't even see it, but it's still there. Now some women also have small clitoris, and let's look at how the small clitoris looks like. That you see the clitoral hood, you see the head showing, and then when you peel off the or move off the hood, then the head of the clitoris shows. So that is how a small clitoris would appear. The weather is not too good for me, forgive me. Now the next one, I'm going to show you a medium-sized clitoris, and when you see this, it shouldn't also surprise you, because some women have this type of clitoris. Now watch this one. I try to be very gentle with this one. So you see the size you have there of the clitoris. This is the medium-sized clitoris, and this is also made up of the same 8,000 nerve endings, and the sort of sensation that you feel around the clitoris is the same, whether it is small, large, whatever. But the feeling that you get varies from person to person, depending on how you have trained yourself to arouse yourself and to get aroused. So first of all, women should understand that you are responsible for your own orgasms. It is not the man who is responsible to bring you to orgasm. Yes, the man will play a part, but you are supposed to also use what you have to get what you want. Great. Now let's look at the next type of clitoris. I call this type of clitoris large, and this is a typical example of a large clitoris. So here you're seeing something that is, normally not the usual thing that you would see happen with most women, but it is there. The clitoris is large, you have the vagina under, and if you see a woman who has a large clitoris, you don't necessarily have to run away or think that the woman is spoiled or the woman is a witch or whatever. It is normal, just that I told you from the beginning that the penis and the clitoris come from the same source, just that the man has a lot more testosterone that makes it a little more longer, a little more bigger. So you can have some women that have some testosterone hikes or high levels of testosterone. You find a lot of hair around them anyway, and then they have larger clitoris, and that shouldn't be a surprise to any man. So this one is what I call the extra large type of clitoris. So you can see it there, the extra large type of clitoris. This, like I told you, is education. It is not to show anyone's nakedness or to get into nudity. We just want you to understand that these things are there. They are not strange, they are not witches, they are not the make of any Mami Wata or Papa Wata or any god, but they were created that way. And these people they expect that you respect them and you accept them for what they have, because that is what they have. They are perfect human beings, they are normal human beings, and we shouldn't make them feel that what they have is inadequate or they are lesser human beings, because when we do so, we push them into lesbianism and all those other funny acts, because then they will have to hide themselves. They feel low, and then society helps them feel so low that they don't want to come out to get into relationships. But this is normal. She can have normal delivery, she can have normal sex, she can have normal babies, and there's nothing wrong with this. Now, after having looked at this, the next area I'll be looking at is, we will jump into it. How do you stimulate the clitoris? How do you, if the clitoris is extremely sensitive, how do you touch it? If it is not sensitive, how do you stimulate it? If it is mildly sensitive, how do you work on it? We'll come to those areas of touching the clitoris, how you must stimulate it, how you play around with it, with the finger, with the lips, with the male organ, and all that comes into stimulating the woman around the clitoris. We'll come to that. We'll look at the erogenous spot, or the urethral sponge, the G-spot. We'll look at sensitive G-spot, mildly sensitive G-spot, insensitive. We'll look at all that, vaginas that are sensitive, those are not sensitive. We'll look at all that as we go along with the class. But for now, I would want to show the men also some areas that are sensitive to them that they should also allow women to touch, and show women some areas on men that are also sensitive, that during their foreplay they should also zoom in. So I'm showing you this picture, and all the dark areas are areas that are sensitive for a man. So at the back you have the spine, you have the back of the neck, you have the hands, you have the elbow, you have the bottom, the W around the bottom, you have behind the thigh, behind the knee, and then on the feet. So I have mapped this all, the whole area, so wonderfully. And if you can't see it, I'm going to give you the names of those areas here as well. So I'm talking about the ear of the man, I'm talking about the lips of the man, I'm talking about the neck, the nipple, the elbow, the wrist. The genital are also sensitive, the buttocks, the inner thigh, the fingers, behind the knee, and the toe and the feet. All these areas are extremely sensitive for men. Yes, last week I think Auntie Seto made mention of some of these things, but let me take it a step further. Let me just move one little step further into taking the man as you enter into foreplay. And then the woman, these are the things that you should learn to get into the act, for the man to see that, Charlie, this girl is also, wow, my wife is good, and my wife knows where to touch to turn me on. And it is not always going to be penetration, fellatio, or cunnilingus. You can have other ways and other parts of the bodies to touch to thrill the man, and that is what I want to show you tonight on some areas. I'm just going to touch on some areas on the class today, or in the class today actually. So the ear, yes, with the women we talked about the ear. So you can, first of all, you can just nibble the tip of the ear with your teeth. Don't bite, just a little play with the tip. It's also very very nice. And then also you can put your tongue inside the ear, but make sure that the tip of the tongue is dry, because if it is wet, it's very disgusting, it's nasty, because the guy feels that you're putting saliva inside the ear. So you have to make sure the tip of the tongue is dry while you do that. And you can rub around the ear loop. You can rub around it, you can take it inside a little, and you could just play around the ear, behind the ear. And then men should also ensure that when you take a bath, you clean the ear loop, you clean around the ear and behind the ear, so you don't have any dead skin there, because once you have dead skin there, it may enter the woman's lips or mouth. So let's take care of that too. And also you can blow little cold air or hot air around the ear and inside the ear. It is very sensual. It adds to the pleasure, and if you are able to do this, your guy is going to love you some more. Your husband is going to love you some more, especially when he's on you and his head is around you. You grab the ear, and you can also do some of these things that you're learning on the class with him. Now you can also attack your husband's neck. Yes, this is how we do it. You can attack the husband's neck. You can be on the side and do it from the side, or you can be behind him and do it from the neck, from the back, or you can be in front and do it. And like I told you the other time, the front part of the neck is very sensitive around the Adam's apple area. So you have a picture there of a lady doing justice to that area, so target that area too. For those who've been calling me, telling me they want to learn romance, I'm doing this because of you. So this is your class, and then this is what you have to learn, and then you put all the pieces together, and then you can be good with your husband, you can be good with your wife. I insist husband and wife. I still insist husband and wife, and I'm emphasizing on it, husband and wife. And then also you can kiss the back of the neck, nipple there. You can also use your tongue around the back of the neck, and it's very, very interesting. It's fun for both the men and for the women as well. And then I also spoke about the lips of the women being sensitive in the same way the lips of men are also extremely sensitive. So kissing is good. If you're a student of the adults class, we went through all the basics in kissing. Yes, we'll come back to the kissing lesson. Hope we're going to give you all the details in the French kiss. Yes, we'll come back to it in this second semester. We'll come back to it. But for now, you should know all the basic kisses, because I remember I taught you how to do the basic kisses, how to take the first kiss in the first semester. Yes, I call it the first semester. This is the school for adults. And then also, the males or men also have very sensitive nipples, and don't think that it is only the women who have sensitive nipples. So you have to learn to stimulate the nipple. And for men who love their nipples to be stimulated, if you have hair around the nipple, just try and trim it down or shave it off, so the woman can be able to suck your breast too. You're not the only one who will be sucking her breast. She can also suck your breast, and it can also lead to amazing orgasms for men as well. Now, there's one area that most women never look at. Most women never look at the knee of a woman. Behind the knee of a man is also extremely sensitive, and you can play with that side too, behind the knee. So I'm showing you that behind the knee is also very sensitive. Now, we have spent all our time, and we would have to go for a break here, and next week when we come, we are going to look at how you touch the inner thigh, and then zoom in into around the male sex organ, and then from there we'll learn some amazing stuff on the adults class. This is Mr. Smooth's class on adults class. It's on Wednesdays, every Wednesday at 10 p.m. to 11:30, and there's a repeat on Saturdays at 10 p.m. to 11 p.m. You know what? There's no reason why any woman should be without any feelings, that she can't feel anything. It is amazing for women to say that me feeling with you, me them in tissue. With 8,000 nerves, there's no reason why you shouldn't feel anything. And normally when it happens that way, it means you have a weak pelvic floor muscle, or you're experiencing vaginal dryness or atrophy or whatever. And then there are ways to train the vagina, there are ways to deal with it, and once you can deal with them, you can be able to have as many orgasms as you want, because women are multi-orgasmic, and they're supposed to have orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. So if you don't feel anything when you have sex, all you need to do is call my number 0244 66 10 11, 0244 66 10 11, and 0244 66 10 11. I'm the lecturer, the teacher, the maker, the founder, the whatever of adults class. You can call me Mr. Smooth for short. And then if you have issues with vaginal discharges and all those funny stuff that women feel around there, if you don't feel anything, premature ejaculations, let's deal with them. No drugs, exercises, and some basic skills. You can deal with them, and then you'll be fine. Alright, so